The Paranormal Scholar invites you to sit down and listen to these true tales of the paranormal submitted to us by our subscribers and narrated in part by the horror narrator Mortis Media. I come from a small town in the heart of Serbia. The house I grew up in had belonged to my father for many years, and for most of my childhood had brought our family nothing but happy memories. However, about 4 years ago, things began to happen in that place that I just could not explain. One evening, I was outside taking pictures of my home. I was standing underneath our wooden gazebo, the garden to my side, facing the house. It wasn't until afterwards that I realized my camera had captured something strange. It was a glimmer of light hovering over the roof. If I had to describe it as anything, I would describe it as an orb. At first, I thought it was an anomaly with a camera flash. I had taken other photos from the same position, and nothing. A few of my friends said it was probably just dust, so I soon forgot about the photo. Last year, my sister and I made a special gift for our mum's birthday. It was a jar which we had decorated and filled with 50 notes saying why she was the best mum. Anyway, she loved it and placed it somewhere that she would always see it, on top of the TV in her bedroom. One day sometime afterwards, while my mum was ironing, she heard a loud and sudden bang. She turned and saw that the jar had moved. It was no longer on top of the TV. It was on the shelf directly beneath it. She was a bit spooked, but put the jar back and left the room. A couple of days passed before a similar incident occurred. She was walking through the room when it happened, only this time my mom saw it. She said that she saw the jar being pushed off the TV, do a flip, and then, almost like someone moved it midair, land perfectly on the shelf. She could not explain what she had seen. So, scared as she was, she refused to touch the jar. Later, I put the jar back on the TV and waited for it to happen again, but nothing did. To this day, my mum refuses to keep the jar on top of the TV. By now, I was seriously beginning to question what was happening in my house. It was then that my dad told me about something truly terrifying, which had happened to him some 20 years before, when he was about 20 years old, before he married my mom. Every night when he lay down in his bed in that house, he would be haunted by 3 loud knocks. Just as he was drifting off to sleep, he would hear it. A single sharp knock, a pause, and then another 2 knocks. The knocks sounded as though they were coming from outside of the house, but there was never anything there. Yet each night when my dad was alone in bed, just before he fell asleep, these same 3 knocks would beat out against the wall. The inexplicable sounds continued for about a year, until the time came for my dad to go into the army. In my country, it is mandatory to spend a year in the army, if only for training in times of peace. When my dad came back home, whatever had been causing the knocking had gone, and the noises with it. My dad was never able to explain the source of those knocks. I cannot help but wonder whether that thing, whatever it was, truly ever left, or whether it remained in that house, and remains still to this day.
This happened to me when I was around 6 or 7. I am a twin, and my sister and I shared a room at the time. Our beds were pushed against adjacent walls, and their heads met at the corner. On the opposite corner was a closet. Between our beds and the closet, there was a huge amount of open floor space where we could play. We had a close family friend called Nana. She wasn't related to us by blood, but she was practically a grandmother to us, and we loved her dearly. She was an older woman who was very religious and one of the kindest people I've ever known. That night, I can't remember why, but Nana was staying overnight with us. We had set up an air mattress in my sister and I's room for her to use. My bed was parallel to the mattress, with the foot of the bed facing the closet. So Nana and I had the same view of the closet. Very late that night, I woke up for no particular reason. I remember knowing that it must have been late, because the TV was off downstairs. My parents often stayed up late watching it, so it must have been at least past midnight. Nana and my sister were both fast asleep, and I could hear my dad snoring in the other room. I was the only one awake. The first thing I noticed was the closet door. It was open. This was unusual, as we always closed it to stop our cat from going in there and messing with our things. The second thing that I noticed was that the interior was pitch black. It wasn't a normal kind of darkness. There was a street lamp right outside that room, which gave off enough excess light for you to be able to see inside the closet. But not today. It was total darkness, almost like the blackness itself was absorbing the light, absorbing it entirely. At the same time, there seemed to be a shape inside the closet. It's hard to describe what it was like, as it didn't seem to interact with the light like a normal object. However, I do remember that it took up the whole space of the closet, and that it looked sharp. In fact, I remember specifically thinking it looked like broken glass. But even that's not exactly the right way to describe this thing. Everything about this object, this thing, seemed wrong, unplaceable, unnatural, and even sinister. Being a terrified child, I sat there for a long time unable to move. Then, very quietly, I woke up my Nana. She needed glasses, so I don't know how she could have seen this thing, because she seemed very calm. And when I told her what I saw, she asked me if I thought it was real or not. I honestly didn't know, and when I said as much, she told me to do the unthinkable. Go touch it. I can understand her thinking. She probably thought if I got close I could see that it was just a dress or a coat, and that I would no longer be afraid. But I just could not bring myself to do it. I was frozen. It felt as if hours had passed, and eventually I slid off my bed, Nana still laying down without her glasses on. The thing did not move as I got closer, and it didn't go away either. I was terrified of touching it, not only because of how dark and evil it felt, but also because I was certain that I would be cut to ribbons. It towered over me, as real as anything, and slowly, shaking, I stuck my hand into the closet. My hand went right through the thing, no change in temperature or in the way that the air felt, and no reaction from the creature itself. Petrified, I managed to whimper, "It's still there, Nana." I was holding back tears. I didn't see or hear her move to turn the lights back on, but the instant that they were on, I was standing in front of the empty closet. Nana looked just as scared as I did, and made me promise not to tell my sister, who was still sound asleep. I still don't know what that darkness was, but I never saw it again.
In Alberta, Canada, there is a place called the Royal Tyrrell Museum. It is a dinosaur museum named after a geologist who found the first dinosaur fossil in the area by chance in the late 1800s. Sometimes classes of school children would arrange to stay overnight to learn more about fossil records. In 2007, mine was one such class. It had just passed 5 PM, closing time for the museum, so we were allowed to roam the exhibits. Being a new junior high student, I had been entrusted with my very own cell phone. I roamed around the specimens recording a lot of footage. I found one of the aquatic exhibition rooms particularly interesting. It housed a colossal specimen, a 21-meter-long Shoniosaurus, a giant marine reptile that haunted northeastern British Columbia 220 million years ago. The museum regarded it as its crown jewel, and I could see why. Although incomplete, the fossil truly was giant. I finished my filming for the night and then thought nothing more of it. Months later, I thought back to my night at the museum and decided to review all that I had recorded. Eventually, I came to the footage of the Shoniosaurus. I was standing at the tail of the creature, surveying the room. On the video, I noticed something at the opposite end of the fossil, close to its jaws. It looked like a faint outline of a leg. It was spectral, ghostly, half not there. In the video, whilst I was standing still, I said to the friend I was with, "It looks cool, but so much is missing." At this point the foot moved to face me, then it turned and walked out of the room. For the next 5 to 10 minutes of video, I watched in horror as the foot followed me around the museum. As I walked filming the exhibits, I saw it turn corners ahead of me. Everywhere I went, the ghostly foot followed. It is said that the ghost of the geologist whom the museum was named after wanders the halls at night, making sure that the exhibits meet his standards. Had I invoked his displeasure after commenting on the incompleteness of one of the museum's prized specimens? Was it his ghost that I encountered that night? I cannot explain it. I wish I could share the footage with you. Unfortunately, it was lost after I dropped my phone in a glass of iced tea.
The story I'm about to relate to you happened 4 years ago. It was afternoon and I was home alone. From where I sat in my bed, I could see the brightness of the sun pour in through the window. And all of a sudden, my relaxation was interrupted by a faint whisper in my ear. It was that of a little girl, and I'll never forget what she said to me. As soft as her voice was, her words chilled me to the bone. I was terrified. Later that day, long after the sun had set and night rolled in, I heard someone running up and down the hallway right outside my bedroom door. But no one was there. The footsteps were light and made me think of the child's whisper from earlier that day. The events marked the beginning of a series of paranormal experiences which I cannot explain. A few weeks passed without incident. Then once again I was sitting home alone in my bed and my eyelids felt heavy. So I closed them, just for a second. And you know when you close your eyes you can see things without actually seeing? Well, in that moment between the blackness and the light, I saw a little girl. She was standing just a few feet away from me, in the corner of the room. She was young, short, and wore a red dress which was embroidered with a leaf pattern. Her skin was extremely pale, almost translucent, Her hair, parted down the middle, was long and black. I only saw her for that split second, but the image of her imprinted itself into my mind. For several months afterwards, I would see this girl in my dreams each night. The sight of her haunted me, following me from dream to dream. During this time, objects would mysteriously disappear, only to reappear in a different place. All the time, I felt as though this child wanted something from me, yet I did not know how to help her. Then one night, the girl visited me no more. She was gone from my dreams and my house, and so the spectral girl exited my life as mysteriously as she had entered it. In the aftermath of my experience, I tried using a Ouija board in an attempt to contact the spirit child. It provided no answer. Since that time, I have not heard or seen the girl again. I will never know what she wanted from me, or whether or not her spirit found peace.
I hope you enjoyed this installment of True Paranormal Stories. I would like to extend my gratitude to Mortis Media for his narrations, with the hope that you pay a visit to his channel. You can follow the link on screen to listen to Mort and I narrate yet more ghostly paranormal stories in the other half of this collaboration. On his channel, Mort has a truly chilling library of around 100 true horror stories, including many paranormal. He uploads new creepy content at least twice a week, so please be sure to visit. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the paranormal.